أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. From Dini aspect, we have three enemies. One is Shaitan, secondly our Nafs, and thirdly the world, Dunya. Concerning Shaitan, we have read through. He became enemy of our forefather Adam alayhi salam, Hawa alayhi salam, and consequently he became our enemy. He has been rejected by Allah Ta'ala. He has to go into Jahannam. So he wants to take out his enmity on the children of Adam alayhi salam upon us. And his effort to take people with him into Jahannam. And the matter which takes a person to Jahannam are two. One is kufr and shirk, and secondly disobedience. So his day and night, his effort is in making people commit sins. And the ultimate sin is kufr and shirk. And if we can't make people do kufr and shirk, then to at least indulge them into committing vices, evils and sins. How he takes out his enmity upon us, we read through it. So that is the summary of the enmity of Shaitan, that he has to go into Jahannam. He was to take the children of Adam alayhi salam with him into Jahannam also. Allah Ta'ala warns us over and over again in Quran Sharif that he is your enemy, take him to be your enemy. Don't fall in his trap. When any thought of evil and sin comes, one should realize this is from Shaitan. One should become alert, one should become bold and not follow the thought, not carry out that thought. Inshallah ta'ala we will stay safe. And if we get tricked and deceived and we fall for the trick and we commit the sin, then we have fulfilled the wish of Shaitan in committing a sin and going towards Jahannam. So nevertheless, the topic we read through was concerning our first enemy, which is Shaitan, how he takes out his enmity upon us, that he is trying day and night with his followers to make us commit sins. So our duty is to not fall for the trick, not to get trapped, and not commit sins. We can't stop the thoughts, but whether to act upon it or not, that is upon us. So whenever any evil idea comes, any evil thought comes in our heart and mind, one should realize straight away it's not from his own self, it's from Shaitan. He should become alert and stay away from it. Inshallah ta'ala, he will stay safe from falling into the trap of Shaitan. The second enemy from Dini aspect is the Dunya, the world. How we are tricked. The world is like a bait for Shaitan. Just like a fisherman, he has a fishing rod and he wants to catch the fish. For catching the fish, he has bait of worms. He puts the worms in the hook. The fish can only see the worm and is lured. It goes to eat the worm and he gets trapped into the hook and loses his life. Exactly in the same way, the world is a bait for Shaitan. The Shaitan uses the world to lure us, to attract us, to deceive us, trick us. So, just like the fish, if it has understanding and does not fall for it, does not go towards the bait of the worm, life will be safe and safeguarded. And if it falls for the bait, goes for the bait, gets hooked, it will lose his life. In the same way, the Shaitan uses the world in different ways. So ourselves not fall for the bait of the world, we will stay safe. And if we fall for it, the world will become means of committing evils and sins. Just as the fish is caught and loses his life, the person is caught by shaitan and he puts his iman and deen in danger. So nevertheless, how the world, the dunya, it works upon us and how it distracts us from deen and how it makes our hereafter dangerous, meaning there are two places in hereafter, Jannat and Jahannam. So whoso starts to follow the world, falls for the trick of the world, then he's putting himself in danger of taking his path towards Jahannam. What is dunya? How the dunya tricks us, or how shaitan tricks us through the dunya, inshallah ta'ala we will read through. So hopefully it will become something of understanding for us and something to open our eyes and not to fall for the trick of shaitan through the world. Allah Ta'ala फरमाते हैं इन्नमा मसलुल हयाति दुनिया कमाइन अंज़लनाहु मिनस समा फ़ख्तलत बिही नबातुल अर्द मिम्मा यअकुलुन नास वल अनआम हत्ता इज़ा अख़ज़तिल अर्ज़ु ज़ुख़रूफ़हा वज़य्यनत वज़न्न अहलुहा अन्नहुम क़ादिरून अलैहा अताहा अमरुना लैलन व नहारा वजअलनाहा हसीदन कअन लम तग़न बिल-अम्स कज़ालिक नुफ़स्सिलुल आयाति लिक़ौमिन यतफ़क्करून। यानी जिंदगानी दुनिया की मिसाल तो पानी की सी है. Allah says the example of worldly life is like water. हमने उसको आसमान से उतारा, बस ज़मीन की पैदावार जिसको इंसान और चौपाई खाया करते हैं उसके साथ मखलूत हो गई. Allah says we brought the water down from the sky and through the water the plantation, vegetation grew which the human beings and the animal eats. यहाँ तक कि जब ज़मीन ने अपना बनाव सिंगार ले लिया और आरास्ता हो गई और ज़मीन दारों ने समझा कि उस पर कुदरत पा गए तो दिन को या रात को उस पर हमारा हुक्म आ पहुँचा, बस हमने उसको ऐसा कटा हुआ बना दिया गोया गुज़िश्ता में भी कुछ था, गुज़िश्ता में भी कुछ न था. Allah says, and the vegetation, plantation, it reaches its peak, that the owners of the farmland, they become happy and they think now we will get the crops. Allah's order of destruction comes either daytime, nighttime, and everything is destroyed. बस हमने उसको ऐसा कटा हुआ बना दिया गोया कल गुज़िश्ता में कुछ न था. And the plantation, the vegetation, the farming is destroyed in such a way as though there was nothing yesterday. Sometimes the farmland, the plantation, everything is up, it's about to be cut, and suddenly some calamity befalls it. A fire takes place, a flood takes place, and the whole plantation, whole vegetation is destroyed. इसी तरह हम तफसील के साथ आयतें बयान करते हैं उन लोगों के लिए जो गौर फिक्र करते हैं. The end of that is, this is how we make simple examples so that people may understand and they may think into it. This regards everything of the world, that the farmers, they plant the seed, the plant comes out, and then the leaves comes, the flower comes, then the fruit and the grain comes, and they're ready to be reaped and cut. But sometime before it is usually Allah safeguards it, and the farmers, they take the grains in their home. But sometimes as a lesson, as a warning, Allah sends a calamity upon it, and the whole farm and plantation is destroyed, and the owners of the land, they are deprived. So this is same with everything of the world, that it reaches its peak, and then it goes down and it becomes useless. A person builds a beautiful house, everything is ready, he's ready to settle in, live into it. Something happens, earthquake takes place, and the whole house is destroyed. So this is regarding everything of the world. Somebody just bought a new car. He's happy, whole family is happy, we got a new car. Suddenly something comes upon the car. Somebody crashes it, accident takes place, and the car is no more. So this is the example of the world. That when it's at its peak, it looks very attractive, it looks very luring, but something occurs, and that matter goes out of hand, and it becomes useless. So this is the small examples. This is the whole world. That at one time it is very appealing, very attractive, but the time comes and it is no more and it is of no use. This is the reality of the world. इस आयत में अल्लाह ताला ने एक मिसाल बयान फरमाई है जो दुनिया के हकीर और नापायदार और जल्द फना हो जाने पर दलालत करती है. In this ayat, Allah Ta'ala explained an example of the world that it is not reliable, and in a very quick time it will perish, it will be destroyed. We see everything. We buy new clothes, we buy new kurta, jubba. It is very pleasing, it makes us happy. We wear it for a few days, few months, 1 or 2 years, and it becomes old, it's torn up. The person doesn't like to even look at it. The same way someone buys a new car, everyone is happy with the car, he starts to use the car, slowly and gradually it gets dents, it gets banged, and after a time it goes into scrap. So if you look at the matters of the world, in the beginning they're very pleasing and they're very heart attracting, but slowly and gradually it wears out and it is discarded, thrown away. So this is the reality of this world. For a small amount of time it's very appealing, attractive, but after a time the very same item, it goes off the heart of the owner of it, and he doesn't even like to look at it, he throws it away. So this is the example of the whole world. और मिसाल का मतलब ये है कि दुनियावी जिंदगानी का जिससे इंसान नफ़ा उठाता है, अंजाम ऐसा है. And the meaning of this example is that the worldly life is also same. For a certain amount of time, we acquire the benefit of it, and we acquire the farmland and everything. But then a time comes that it is perished, it is no more. जैसा कि उसकी पैदावार और खेती का अंजाम, कि जब उसे नफ़ा उठाने की उम्मीद कभी हो जाए तो अचानक नाउमीदी हासिल हो जाए. So example of the farmland and the farming plantation, when it's ready to be cut, suddenly something occurs and the whole farmland is perished, whole plantation is destroyed, and it is no more. The person is deprived from his benefit. लिहाजा समझदार शख्स पर लाजिम है कि बक़द्रे ज़रूरत ही उससे नफ़ा उठावे. So for a sensible person, intelligent person, it is compulsory that he should not indulge in the world, he should not make the world the purpose of his life, he should engage in the world according to his need and not according to his desire. Best of the clothes, best of the shoes, best of the mobiles, best of the car, that should not be the criteria of a sensible person. He should look into his need. Among the clothes according to need. If he needs a mobile, then mobile according to his need. Everything, he should not look for the best of the world. Regarding worldly matters, he should suffice on necessity. और उसकी लज्जतों में मुनहरिक न हो जाए. He should not fall for the desires and the taste of the worldly matters. कि उसके फिराक के वक्त मुसीबत अजीमा उठानी पड़ेगी. If somebody's heart is engrossed in worldly matters, his car, his clothes, his mobile, and his house, his business, then the heart will become engrossed in these things, and when the time will come to depart from these things, it will become very, very hard for the heart to depart and disconnect from these things, and he will die with regret, and he will die with the state of depression. That time, I have to leave my house, I have to leave my car, I have to leave my business, I have to leave my shop. So these things can become a barrier between the person and Allah Ta'ala and Jannat. Imam Tirmizi ne Hazrat Ibn Mas'ud, life of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Rasulullah Sallallahu stayed very much away from the world. It was his nature to be disconnected with the world, and any wealth which came to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, any gold, silver, etc. came, it made Rasulullah Sallallahu uncomfortable and uneasy until it was distributed to the needy people. Rasulullah usually become happy when we have wealth, we have money, we have gold and silver, we become happy, I've got wealth, I've got money. But Rasulullah Sallallahu nature was different, that he became uneasy and comfortable by having wealth, and he was not comforted it until it was distributed to the people. हज़रत इब्न मसऊद रज़ी अल्लाह ताला से रिवायत की है कि रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम बोरिए पर सोए और जिस्म मुबारक पर निशान पड़ गए. That Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, once he lay down on a mat, and the signs of the mat, it came on his body. तो हज़रत इब्न मसऊद रज़ी अल्लाह ताला अर्ज़ किया कि या रसूलल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, आप फरमा दें तो फर्श बनाकर आपके नीचे बिछा दें. If you will give us permission, we will make a bedding for you and we will spread it underneath so you shall be more comfortable and you will be able to sleep on it more comfortably. Instead of this mat, it is not comfortable, and even the signs of the mat has come onto your body. Aap sallallahu, we would become happy to get a good mattress, get a good bedding, but Rasulullah's nature was different. आपने फरमाया कि मुझे दुनिया से क्या ताल्लुक? Rasulullah replied, what connection I have with the world? मेरी और दुनिया की मिसाल तो ऐसी है जैसे कोई सवार किसी दरख्त के साए में आराम करने को आ खड़ा हो और ज़रा सा सांस लेने के बाद उसको छोड़कर चल दे. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, my example is like a traveler who's traveling and a tree comes across, he comes down and he lies down in the shade of the tree, gets some rest, and then he walks on again. So a traveler, if he comes down to rest, he will not worry about getting a mattress, not worry about getting a bed, because he will just spread something underneath him, lie down 1 hour or so, and once his tiredness is gone, he will start his journey again. So this is the example Rasulullah gives. We should not take the world to be our settlement. We should not take the world to be our home. Our home is Jannat, and here we are traveling. So one should not get engrossed in worldly matters. इमाम गज़ाली रहमतुल्लाह अलैह फरमाते हैं कि लोगों को जो दुनिया अता की गई है उसकी मिसाल ऐसी है जैसे कोई शख्स कोई मकान तैयार करे और उसको आरास्ता करके यके बाद दीगरे एक एक जमात को उस घर में बुलाए. Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi, he has mentioned the example of the world, that the example of the world is like somebody, he has made a house and he allows a group of people to come and see and look at the house. He calls groups of people to come into the house. और जब एक जमात घर में दाखिल हो जाए तो सोने की तबक उनके सामने करे. So when one group of people comes into the house, he presents to them a golden tray जिसमें किस्म किस्म के फल और खुशबुएं हो. And in that tray there are different types of fruit and different types of fragrances, ताकि उनको सूंघे और पास वाले के पास सरका दें, so that people to whom the tray is presented, they may take the smell and refresh their mind and then pass the tray to the next one. Like nowadays we do with the eater bottle. Somebody has an eater bottle, he gives to the next person so that he may put it onto his hand, his clothes, and pass it on to the next person. It is not for him to put it in his pocket. He does not give it to him to keep. न इसलिए कि उसको अपनी मिल्क समझकर अपने पास रख ले. So that tray is not given to that person to become owner of it and keep it by himself. बस जो शख्स इस कायदे और रस्म से नावाकिफ हो, so exactly that was example that what we have in this world is for use and pass on. Our mind does not go towards it. The house we live in, before we were living, there was somebody else living into it. Before him, there was somebody else. That person passed away, the house passed on to another person. In the same way, the car we drive, usually it was owned by someone else. And his time finished, it passed on to someone else. So this regards everything of this world. We are not the owners of it. Not a complete owner of it in reality is for us to use. For some time, the house will stay in our ownership, and then either we will pass away or we'll sell the house to someone else. So if we realize this, if we and understand this, that nothing belongs to us, it's only for use, then our heart will not become attached with it. Just like eater bottle, somebody passes on to us, he just puts on his hands in his clothes and then passes on to the next person. If he thinks it's given to him and puts it in his pocket, he will become embarrassed. The owner will say, "Bye, I did not give it for keeping, you use it and pass it on." So it will become means of embarrassment for that person. So if somebody does not know this rule, और यूँ समझा कि उसको हदियतन दिया गया है, and he thought it's given to him as a gift, and he keeps it for himself, और उससे दिल लगा लिया, उस गुमान पर कि अपना ही है, तो जाहिर है कि जब वो उससे वापस लिया जाएगा तो उसका दिल तंग और आरज़ू और तकलीफ वाला हो जाएगा. So that if somebody did not know this rule, and when the tray was passed to him, he thought the tray is for me, he kept it by himself. The owner will say, "Bye, I did not give you for keep it, you have to give it back." So now he will become embarrassed and he will be depressed also that it has been taken away from him. इस तरह जिसने दुनिया के मुतालिक अल्लाह ताला की आदत और तरीके को समझ लिया, उसने जान लिया कि दुनिया एक दावत का मकान है. So exactly same with the world and the matters of the world, that we are not owners of what we have in our hands. It's just like a person goes for dawat and he uses what's in the dawat and then comes out. जो गुजरने वालों के लिए बनाया गया है, न कि तमाम बैठने वालों के लिए, ताकि इस तरह मुंतफा हो, जिस तरह मुसाफिर मुस्तार चीज़ों से मुनाफा हासिल किया करता है. So meaning that usually we get treat, my house, my car, my shop, my business, so that makes us attach our heart with these things. And when we have to depart from these things, we feel it very badly and it depresses us and makes us sad. So instead, if from the beginning a person realizes that nothing belongs to me, everything is the ownership of Allah, I have been given for use, I have been given to acquire benefit from it, and then pass it on to the next person. हक़ ताला ने इंसान को दुनिया में अपनी इबादत करने के लिए पैदा फरमाया है. That Allah has created a human being for his ibadat. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Allah Ta'ala says, I have not created the insan and jinn but for my ibadat. So this is the purpose of our life, that we make ibadat and obedience of Allah Ta'ala. और बदन को उसकी सवारी और आला बना दिया है. And we make ibadat through our body. We perform salat with our body, we fast with our body, etc. So our body is like a horse. At a traveler, he sits on the horse and travels, and he reaches his destination. In the same way, our destination is to reach Allah Ta'ala and make ibadat. For ibadat, we need our body. We perform salat with our body, we recite Quran Sharif with our tongue, etc. ताकि उसको अल्लाह की इताअत में इस्तेमाल करे. So this body is not for enjoying ourselves, it's not for lust and fulfilling desires. This is what people think, that when they have free time, then they go to gym, they go to club, they go to play football. So this body is not for these things. This body is for the ibadat of Allah Ta'ala. The person who uses his body in ibadat of Allah Ta'ala is using the body in a correct way. And the person who uses the body for other than ibadat and obedience of Allah Ta'ala is wasting his body and the wealth also. So there are two matters. One is our soul, our ruh, and second is our body. And we make ibadat of Allah Ta'ala through our body. And Allah has made our body such that it needs to eat, it needs to drink, it needs to rest. और बदन चूँकि ग़िज़ा और लिबास और ठहरने के लिए मस्कन का मोहताज है, लिहाजा इंसान के लिए ज़रूरी हुआ कि इन चीज़ों के हासिल करने में भी कुछ वक्त खर्च करे. Allah is just like a car. The purpose of the car is to drive and do our work. But cars is usually made in such a way we need to put petrol in it, water, etc. So just as we put petrol as a necessity in the car, our body is same. That we need to eat, we need to clothe ourselves, we need to rest. So these are necessity of the body, so the body stays in good condition, and then we use the body for obedience of Allah Ta'ala and ibadat of Allah Ta'ala. लिहाजा इंसान के लिए ज़रूरी हुआ कि इन चीज़ों के हासिल करने में भी कुछ वक्त खर्च करे. So he will have to acquire his food, he will have to acquire his clothes, he will have to acquire a house to live in, but he should engage in acquiring these things according to need, not as a luxury, not as fulfilling desires. और बाकी सारा वक्त इबादत में सर्फ करे and use rest of his time in ibadat of Allah Ta'ala. The example is like a student in madrasa. His purpose in staying in madrasa is to study, become hafiz, become alim, and use his time in studying his kitabs, performing salat. So that is the purpose of a student. But with that he needs to eat, he needs to sleep, etc. So these things are done as a necessity. Because once the necessity are fulfilled, then if he is a sensible student, he will employ himself, he will engage himself in acquiring his purpose of becoming hafiz, becoming alim, making mutala, studying his kitabs, going over, etc. So just like a sensible student, he understands his purpose of coming to madrasa. He will realize my purpose of madrasa is not to eat all the time, not to sleep all the time. These are necessities. He fulfills the necessities in a quick time and then occupies the rest of the time with the purpose of acquiring knowledge, becoming hafiz. कि इतना वक्त इन चीज़ों के हासिल करने में खर्च करना माफ़ है. So our time which is occupied in acquiring the sufficient amount of living, sufficient amount of food, clothes, house. So our time is used for these things. Person goes to work, so that is forgiven. Meaning it will not count in waste of time. और इसी की तरफ इशारा कर रही है वो रिवायत जिसको इमाम अहमद ने हज़रत अबू उसैद रज़ी अल्लाह से रिवायत किया है कि एक रात रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि तशरीफ़ लाए और मेरे पास होकर गुजरे तो मुझको बुलाया. Sahabi says that one night Rasulullah passed by me and called me and told me to go with him. फिर अबू बकर रज़ी अल्लाह के पास होकर गुजरे तो उनको बुलाया. Then Rasulullah passed by Abu Bakr रज़ी अल्लाह ताला अन्हु and called him also. और वो भी साथ हो लिए. And he also joined with Rasulullah सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम. फिर उमर रज़ी अल्लाह पर गुजर हुआ तो उनको भी बुलाया. And Rasulullah passed by Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu and called him also. और वो भी साथ हो लिए. And he also joined Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. और साहब रवाना हुए एक अंसारी के बाग में. And then Rasulullah sallallahu with them, they went into one garden of one Ansari Sahabi. और बाग के मालिक से फरमाया हमको खजूरें खिलाओ. रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम said to the owner of the garden, serve us some dates. चुनांचे वो एक खोशा लेकर आए. So he brought one bunch of dates and presented to the guests. और उनके सामने रख दिया. And he put the tray in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the rest of the guests. बस रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम आपके सहाबा ने खाया. Rasulullah ate from that tray and Sahaba also ate from it. उसके बाद ठंडा पानी मंगाकर पिया. Then he asked for some cold water which was given and he drank from cold water. उसके बाद फरमाया कि क़यामत के दिन इस नेमत के बारे में तुमसे ज़रूर सवाल किया जाएगा. Then Rasulullah sallallahu turned their mind towards the hereafter and said, surely on the day of Qiyamah you will be questioned about these ne'mats. We take these things for granted. We drink water, but we never think it's a ne'mat of Allah Ta'ala. We eat the food we eat, but it never occurs in our mind, it's a ne'mat of Allah Ta'ala. So straight away Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam turned their mind towards the hereafter and said, on the day of Qiyamah you will be questioned regarding this ne'mat of dates and ne'mat of water. How did you utilize it? How did you make shukr of these ne'mat? बस हज़रत उमर रज़ी अल्लाह ताला अन्हु ने खोशा उठाया. खोशा उठाकर ज़मीन पर मारा कि उसकी खजूरें जनाब रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम के सामने जल पड़ी. So when Umar heard this, that we will be questioned regarding these things, he took the bunch of the dates and he tapped it on the ground and said, और अर्ज़ किया कि या रसूलल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, क्या इन खजूरों के मुतालिक भी क़यामत के दिन हमसे पूछोगी? He said, what? Because dates was something very mundane and something very small matter for the Arabs. It was so in abundance. So he said, even regarding the dates, we will be asked on the day of Qiyamah that we fulfill this right or not, did we make shukr or not? आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम फरमाया कि हाँ. Rasulullah said, yes, you will be questioned regarding the food you eat. How did you make the shukr of it? How did you use the energy you acquired by the food? We look at ourselves, the names of Allah Ta'ala, in abundance, the food, the different types of food we eat, the types of drink we drink, and it never occurs in our mind that on the day of Qiyamah Allah will ask us, how did you utilize these ni'mats? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam फरमाया कि हाँ, सिर्फ 3 चीज़ों के मुतालिक तो सवाल न होगा. Rasulullah, yes, you will be questioned regarding this food. Only concerning 3 things, people will not be questioned. एक तो वो चीथरा जिसने पर्दे के काबिल हिस्सा बदन छुपाया, that amount of cloth which covers his body, which covers the necessary part of the body. और एक टुकड़ा जिसने बेहद ज़रूरत भूख को रफा किया, and a piece of roti which quenched his hunger. he satisfied his hunger. और एक फुट यानी छोटा सा बकदर ज़रूरत मकान, and a small size house which shelters him from rain, cold and heat. इसमें गर्मी सर्दी से बचने को घुस बैठा. So what you call basic needs of the life, the amount of food which sustains him, the amount of cloth which covers his necessary body, the amount of house which covers him from cold, heat and rain. So these things will be exception, they will not be questioned, provided he has acquired them from halal. And beside that, whatever ni'mat of Allah Ta'ala, that tus'alunna yawma idin anil na'im, that you will be questioned regarding all the ni'mats on the day of Qiyamah. बाकी जो उससे ज़्यादा है उसका हिसाब किताब ज़रूर होना है. And anything beside these three things, that we will have to account for it. How did we acquire these things and how did they utilize in obedience of Allah Ta'ala, in ibadat of Allah Ta'ala, or disobedience of Allah Ta'ala. और जिसने अपना सारा वक्त दुनिया की लज्जात और ख्वाहिशात के हासिल करने में खर्च कर दिया और मकसूद यानी इबादत को भूल गया, तो उस पर ये वबाल और फितना होगा. The person who occupied his time in accumulating the world and then enjoying the world, fulfilling his lusts and desires, and this very wealth, it will become a calamity over himself. So, it's a time of salat and somebody says, "If I come and perform salat," I haven't got time for salat, I have to go to work. That is a very, very wrong answer. He's turned the purpose upside down. The work is not the purpose, the ibadat is the purpose. But he's made the work purpose and he's neglected the purpose of ibadat. So, accumulating these worldly matters, big house, big car, big business, and because of these things, he becomes neglectful from deen and ibadat, he's turned upside down, and he's made these things calamity over himself. चुनांच इमाम तिर्मिज़ी ने हज़रत काब बिन अयाज़ रज़ी अल्लाह से रिवायत की है कि मैंने रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम को फरमाते हुए सुना कि हर उम्मत के लिए एक फितना है और मेरी उम्मत का फितना माल है. हज़रत काब बिन अयाज़ रज़ी अल्लाह से रसूलुल्लाह से, every nation it has something as a test. The test of my ummah is wealth. That they will follow, they will chase the wealth and they will use it in a wrong way. और ऐसे शख्स पर आखिरत का सफ़र बहुत मुश्किल होता है. And a person who enrolls himself with the world and who makes the world the purpose of his life, such a person's journey to the hereafter is very, very difficult because he has not prepared anything for it. He has not sent anything for it. He has nothing stocked for himself in the hereafter. So for such a person, the hereafter journey is very, very difficult. Chunanche Imam, like we see our elders, they earn here, they accumulate wealth and they make a big house. Back in the country, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. So they're always eager to go to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. They're always thinking about, talking about it, and they want to go home. And the youth of here is not done anything for back home. He doesn't have a home in back country. He doesn't think about it. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't want to go back to the country because he has not prepared anything for it. So this is a simple example you can see here. For elders, because they earned here, they accumulated wealth and made a big comfortable house in the back in the country. So their heart and mind is in that house. They want to go there as much as possible. They talk about it day and night. And since the youth of here has not done anything, he's not prepared anything back home, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, he doesn't think about it, he doesn't talk about it, he doesn't want to go. So this is exactly the example of us, that who has not prepared for the hereafter, he doesn't talk about it, he doesn't think about it, he doesn't want to go there. In fact, he becomes depressed, he becomes worried, anxious when he hears the word of death and going in the hereafter, because he has not prepared for it. So the person who engages himself in the world and he neglects the deen, he neglects the obedience of Allah Ta'ala, he neglects the ibadat of Allah Ta'ala, such a person, the journey of the hereafter, it becomes very, very difficult. Usually, when a person hears about the hereafter, he starts to dread it because he has not prepared for it and he has used all his time in the world, not prepared for the hereafter. As soon as he hears that he has to pass away from this world, he has to leave all these things, instead of becoming happy, he becomes sad, he becomes depressed, and he becomes anxious and fearful. चुनांची इमाम बैहक़ी ने हज़रत उम्मे दर्दा रज़ी अल्लाह से रिवायत की है कि वो कहती है कि मैंने अपने शौहर अबू दर्दा रज़ी अल्लाह से कहा, देखो जिस तरह फलां शख्स कमाता है तुम क्यों नहीं कमाते? हज़रत उम्मे दर्दा रज़ी अल्लाह said, once I said to my husband Abu Darda radiallahu anhu, the Sahabi of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, why don't you earn? And why don't you engage in earning? As that's a certain person is engaged in earning. You'll have more money, you'll have more wealth, our worldly life will be comfortable. So why don't you engage yourself in earning more money and earning more wealth, which will make our worldly life more comfortable? उन्होंने जवाब दिया कि मैंने रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ये फरमाते सुना है कि तुम्हारे सामने दुश्वार गुजार गाती है. Darda replied, I heard Rasulullah say, in front of you, it's a very difficult valley which you have to pass through, जिसे बोझल आदमी उबूर न कर सकेंगे. So those people who are burdened with the world and worldly matters, they will not be able to pass that valley. Meaning hereafter. So, लिहाजा मैं उस घाटी के लिए हल्का रहना पसंद करता हूँ. So I would keep myself lightful to pass that valley, meaning the world. That the person, more accumulation engaged in the world, neglects the deen, the more burden will be upon him, it will be more difficult for him to pass through the day of Qiyamah and the account of the day of Qiyamah. And the less a person engages in the world and he engages in deen, the lighter he will be, easier it will be for him to pass through the day of Qiyamah. लिहाजा मैं उस घाटी के लिए हल्का रहना पसंद करता हूँ. So I want to stay light for that valley, that I can pass through it easily without any anxiety. Because you can't achieve both. The complete world and complete deen, that is not possible. If somebody will engage in the deen, then he will harm his dunya. And if somebody engages in dunya, he will harm his deen. One can't acquire both completely in this world. One has to choose between one of the two. और जो बंदा दुनिया में अपने नफ्स और अपने मकसद पैदाइश को भूल जाता है, उसकी मिसाल ऐसी है जैसे कोई हज को जाने वाला मुसाफिर रास्ते के किसी पड़ाव पर ठहरा. And the person who forgets the purpose of his life, meaning preparing for the hereafter, and he engages in the world and he gets engrossed in the world. For example, as someone who is set off to go for Hajj. So while he's nowadays we travel in few hours, but before people used to take months to travel from their home to Hajj Makkah Sharif. So in between they have to stop in many places. So someone is set off for Hajj, but on the way he stops somewhere. और अपनी ऊँटनी के घास दाना और निगहदाश्त में मशहूर हो गया. On the way he found a good place. There was a grass was good, water was good. So he let his camel graze and drink water, and he stayed there thinking it's a good place for my camel, and he stopped from going forward. उसको नहलाए धुलाए और रंग बेरंग के उसको कपड़े पहनाए और किस्म किस्म की घास लाकर उसके सामने डाले. So these travelers were supposed to set off for Hajj, but he found a good grazing place. So he stopped there, he's feeding the camel, he's washing the camel, bathing the camel, and he just got engrossed in that place. और उसके लिए बर्फ से ठंडा करके पानी डाले, and he's cooling the water with snow, with the ice in the hot Arabian land, and he's feeding the camel with the iced water. यहाँ तक के काफिला उसको छोड़ जाए, and his other companions, they move forward, and he's so engrossed in feeding and looking after the camel in that place, he's left alone. और उसको हज की खबर न रहे, and he forgets that I've set off for Hajj, and the time of Hajj is coming nearer. काफले के चले जाने की और अपने और अपनी ऊँटनी के जंगल में दरिंदों का शिकार बनकर तन्हा रह जाने की खबर रहे. So this simple example, somebody set off from his home on his camel to go for Hajj, but in between he found a good place, grazing land, water, and he stopped there. All his companions, they moved forward, he stopped there, and he forgot his purpose of setting off for Hajj. So he's alone now, and it's a jungle. Then the animals of jungle will come out, they will eat up the camel also, and they will destroy the person also. So exactly this is the example that we come into this world not to accumulate the world. We come into this world to accumulate the hereafter, prepare for the hereafter. This is usually what happens. That usually we become engrossed in the world and engaging in the world, and we forget our purpose, and the person is left out from the hereafter. So nevertheless, the world is very attractive. As soon as we step out of such a place, Masjid Madrasa, the worlds open up, and it attracts us, it lures us, and it tricks us, and usually we fall for the trick. Our heart goes away towards the world, and we start to engage in it, and from the heart, sin starts to occur, and hands and feet. So nevertheless, we should be warned, we should be alert. We not come in this world to make our world, we come in this world, Dunya Mazra'atul Akhirah. The worldly life is a plantation for the hereafter. Whatever we will plant, good or bad, good action, bad action, we will see the results in the hereafter. So nevertheless, as I said in the beginning, of Dini aspect, we have three enemies. One is Shaitan, secondly our Nafs, and third is the world. It is called Dunya. So we should not be tricked, we should not fall for it, we should keep our purpose in front of us. Our purpose is to make our hereafter. We have to live in this world, we live in such a way that we move forward and progress in our deen, and we acquire the world according to necessity, without spoiling our deen and hereafter. Allah give us tawfiq for it.
Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.